VR actually has origins in flight simulators made in the 1900s and an invention since, it hasn't really become reality or virtual reality until the past 4 or 5 years. And even with the realization of modern VR with the Oculus Rift, it begs the question, why? For example, games back in the day on the SNES had 3D built into some of the chips, but it wasn't true 3D, and at that time it was considered to be more of a gimmick. And you could make an argument that until games like Mario 64 came out, it was sort of questionable whether or not 3D was actually the future of gaming, or if it was worthwhile at all. Of course, looking back, it's very obvious that 3D was the future, but back then people genuinely weren't sure. Today, we know 3D is the future for gaming because there are many things 3D can do that 2D simply cannot. The same question has to be asked with VR. What can a VR headset do that traditional gaming can't? Games like Beat Saber help answer that question. Beat Saber is simple in concept, easy to pick up, but hard to master. Anyone familiar with a rhythm game already knows, generally, how Beat Saber plays. A song plays and you're doing some kind of activity, be it tapping the screen or shaking a controller, to the beat of the music. So, as I said before, the question has to be asked, what makes Beat Saber so different from other rhythm games, and why should it be played in VR? Well, for an easy analogy, I'll be using Wii Sports on the Wii because I can assume most people watching this video have played it, whether you played it because you own it, or because your aunt owned it, or because you own 5 copies, because why not? You've probably had some experience with Wii Sports, and if you haven't, you're not really living life. Honestly, it's pretty sad. You should really go play Wii Sports. But anyway, I think most people can agree that swinging a Wiimote to hit a baseball coming at you in Wii Sports feels much better than simply pressing the A button. It not only feels much more realistic to actual baseball, but it's just simply more fun. Well, Beat Saber takes this to another level. If you've ever wanted to hold a real lightsaber, which who doesn't, because who the fuck doesn't want to hold a real lightsaber, then Beat Saber really fulfills that dream, all the while playing epic beats in the background to jazz yourself out to. There are a few different modes in Beat Saber, the default and probably most prominent being the mode in which blocks come at you with arrows, indicating the direction in which to slice the block. On top of direction, there are 2 different colors, usually red and blue, unless you're playing modded, in which case the colors may vary. The challenge in Beat Saber not only comes from making your arms swing as fast as possible, but also to learn the many different patterns that are actually used in levels. For example, a common pattern used in the built-in levels of the game is having 2 boxes, one red, one blue, where you swing downward with both lightsabers at the same time. Then you might have 2 boxes where you then swing up. So essentially you swing quickly downward, then quickly upward with both lightsabers. This can seem daunting at first until you realize that there is a pattern and you start to build some muscle memory. Another mode in Beat Saber is a Handoff Mode, where you can actually hand off the headset in a theoretical party. But unfortunately I have no friends for said theoretical party, so I can't confirm whether it actually works well or not, but it's there. Now, after playing Beat Saber for a while, you will very quickly get tired of the built-in songs, and you may be tempted to buy some of the song packs. But instead, I highly recommend modding the game. Modding the game is super easy. You run 1exe, which if I remember I will put in the description, and it installs all the mods you need automatically. You can then download modded songs and maps while you're playing, which essentially equals nearly unlimited content entirely for free. Now, this does come with a slight catch, not in the form of money. All of the maps are free, like I said. However, the issue more so comes in the difficulty. When you're playing vanilla maps in Beat Saber, there are a couple of different difficulties, starting usually on easy and ending at expert plus. Modded sort of follows the same general scale, but at the same time, not really. Let me explain. Some modded maps may not even have a traditional difficulty scale from easy to expert plus, and may instead have custom terms. Generally speaking, the way to know which is the easiest is the one on the left is the easiest, and the one on the right is the hardest. So it's not too difficult to figure out, but it is something to keep in mind if you plan to mod the game. A bigger issue with the difficulty settings, however, is mislabeled maps. For example, one map marked as expert is probably not going to be the same difficulty as another map marked as expert. I've found that some maps marked as expert that are modded seem to be beyond my human grasp and my puny little fleshy cage. But some maps experts are pretty easy, and then there are some maps where hard feels like expert. Generally speaking, it's all over the place, and this isn't even including the maps that don't follow traditional difficulties at all, and instead use some other term like twinkly dinky da to blinky blittily blah. I don't know what the fuck that means, but hopefully the easiest one is on the left and the hardest one's on the right. If you are an owner of a VR headset, this is a must-have VR game. Everyone should have Beat Saber in their VR game list. It's the Mario 64 of VR, the Counter-Strike of VR, the Terraria of VR. I don't care what you want to call it, as long as it's referring to a game that everyone should have had and played, then it's good analogy to me. In short, Beat Saber is a great game with low entry level but a high skill ceiling, and a handoff mode, making it great for parties on top of nearly endless modded content.